Hi guys, Big Monday here. Today I'm bringing you a Dota 2 showcase video for Crystal Maiden. Now she's quite a low skill cap hero in that she can be really useful even if you're not very good with her and if you're quite new to Dota. But she's also a hero that if you get really good with Dota and you have a lot of awareness of all the abilities and so on of the enemy players, she can be absolutely devastating. She's got one of the highest damage outputs of the game.
Prepare for battle.
So Crystal Maiden is a ranged intelligence hero. She's a little bit squishy. She's a little bit squishy, but she's got quite good range. She's got a 600 range. Which makes her really good for harass, and she's quite a good support for new players in that her third ability, her Arcane Aura, can be helpful even if you're not very good with the hero. She is a hero that a lot of people don't like to play because she'll quite often end up being the ward bitch, and it's your job to buy the courier, because Crystal Maiden really doesn't need any gold to be useful. So you'll be buying almost all of the wards, and you'll be buying the courier, and you'll be upgrading the courier. So if you play Crystal Maiden, remember that is your job, buying everything your team might need. So Crystal Maiden's really good at getting a little bit of sort of catch-up gold from the jungle. Her second skill, Frostbite. This encases an enemy unit in ice, prohibiting movement and attack while dealing 50 damage every half second. And it lasts 10 seconds on creeps level 6 or lower. So you can see here it does 1,000 damage to creeps. So you can take the big creeps really easily while you're stacking. What I'm doing in this case is I'm stacking the camp, but I'm taking the big creep for myself. So that lets me get quite a good gold gain and quite a good experience gain with Crystal Maiden. It's quite a decent stun on its own, in that it scales from 1.5 to 3 seconds as it levels up. Does reasonable damage, but not amazing. But one really useful thing that I don't think it says in the tooltip is that it reveals invisible units. So if you catch a Ricky, it will keep him revealed for the duration. Which is really useful for when you're trying to burst somebody down, they won't be able to walk away.
Very cool of you.
So Crystal Maiden's first ability, Crystal Nova, this is what you're usually going to use to initiate. If you see the range indicator, the Crystal Nova has a much longer range than the Frostbite. And Crystal Nova, it's got really good burst damage. It scales reasonably well. Again, it's not an amazingly powerful nuke. What makes it really good is it's got a 30% movement slow and a 30 attack speed slow, and that scales up to 5 seconds, and it starts at 3.5 seconds, which is a really long duration for such an early spell. When you cast this, if you make sure you get all the enemy heroes in it, it makes it really easy. The movement slow makes it really easy to follow up with a stun on one of them, and if there are any right click based carries, the attack speed slow is really good for shutting them down, making it really hard for them to deal damage. Okay, so her third ability is a passive aura. Now it's a global aura. It affects everybody regardless of where they are, and this is what makes Crystal Maiden useful even if you don't really know how to play her and you're not amazingly good at the game. This makes Crystal Maiden really useful because she's going to get a really good amount of mana regen, which allows you to throw nukes a lot, but it also gives you team mana regen. Crystal Maiden gets double the amount of regen that it says along the bottom. So at the minute I'm getting 2 mana regen. It maxes out getting 5 mana regen, but you get a lot of hero carries that will sometimes struggle with mana a bit, and they need a support to buff their mana. They need somebody with mana boots, they need somebody to get a ring of Basilia, something like that. Whereas if you've got a Crystal Maiden on the map, that's not really a problem usually. So it helps the rest of your team be more aggressive and spend their nukes more often, even if you're not in the fight yourself. So it can be really handy, even if you don't really know how to play Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden's ultimate ability, Freezing Field, is one of the highest damage output abilities in the game. It drops lots of explosions, which each do their own damage, and it drops a huge amount of explosions. It's channeled for 10 seconds, so it can be interrupted, which kind of balances out the sort of raw power of this ability. But it's absolutely devastating when used. If you're not countered with stuns and things like that, it's really, really, really high damage. Now, it can be a little bit expensive on the mana cost, so in some games you might want to leave it a little bit late to pick it up, or maybe just pick one level up and then don't pick the second level up for quite a while, because the second level the mana cost is 400, which is absolutely huge. The third level takes 600 mana, and at this point in the game where I've only got 800, I'm not going to have enough mana there for full combo. So you really need to up your mana pool a bit before you max it out. But rushing your other skills is always going to be useful. Say these ones can't be as easily countered, so sometimes it's worth leaving your ult a little while. The radius is absolutely massive, and basically what happens is it randomly selects a location to drop an icy explosion. That explosion has its own radius of 300. The entire freezing field area has a 30% movement speed slow and a 30 attack speed slow, which does stack with the movement slow and attack slow of Crystal Nova. So quite often you'll really want to drop full combo. You'll drop Crystal Nova on as many people as possible. You'll stun one person who, priority target to make them sit in the freezing field, and then you hit freezing field, and the damage does scale really, really well. So 250 damage for each explosion. The 300 range means each of those can hit multiple targets, which is why this is so devastating. Its Aghanim Scepter upgrade takes that up to 310 damage, 50% movement slow, and 50 attack speed slow, which makes this one of the most devastating abilities in the game. You'll see when you play Crystal Maiden, you need to be really aware of enemies with stuns, because they can cancel the ability. But if you get a game where there's no good stuns on the enemy, or you wait out the stuns, you can easily wipe a team with this ability. So, really, really useful items on CM are the Aghanim Scepter. It gives you more tankability with the extra health. It gives you a larger mana pool, so it helps with your mana problem. And it dramatically upgrades the damage of Freezing Field. You also quite often want a Black King Bar, because once you cast this, you can't be stunned out of the Freezing Field, and anyone will be required to just tank up the damage. Now, what you will usually want to do with Crystal Maiden is just sort of skirt the outskirts of a fight, drop your nukes whenever you can, and look for an opportunity to throw a good freezing field. Getting a good position on your freezing field can really turn a fight, because its damage output is so ridiculously high. See, with a BKB you can't be nuked down, you can't be stunned, and then anyone who sticks around is just going to melt big time.
Double kill.
So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed watching this. I hope you found it useful. I'd appreciate a like if you've enjoyed it, and keep your eyes open for the guide I'll be putting up for Crystal Maiden in the near future. Have a great day, guys. See you later.